Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Aftermath series. Let us waste no time at all and dive right into this week's episode of Critical Role. So not too much happened this episode actually. We did get a lot of traveling, I suppose, and there was a little bit of combat, and there was a plan that was made and that sort of worked out. You know, as far as the Mighty Nine's plans go, this one went fairly well, I'd say. But other than that, you know, not too much happened in terms of character development or super crazy theories that are coming up. However, there are a few things that I want to touch on for this episode. The first being Clay talking with the plants. Now, we do know that, you know, he's a follower of the Earth Mother, and that he tries to maybe not necessarily protect nature. He might try to protect it to a certain extent, but he's mainly just using speaking to plants as a way of him trying to connect to the Earth Mother. Now we do know that Clay has a rather low intelligence. It's not terrible, but it is rather low, so he is a bit slower than the other members of the Mighty Nine, and he may be a bit more naive, but he also is very wise. So while on the surface, him talking to the plants, he may just think that he's talking to the Earth Mother that way. Or he truly does have this gift of being able to speak with the plants, making sure they're okay, making sure they're calm. Given the fact that he is a follower of the Earth Mother, it's possible that with this communication that he has with them, the plants will allow for safer passage or will warn of any danger. I don't know, it's purely speculation, but I think it's definitely something to take note of every time he does do it, because I feel like it will play a bigger factor as the Mighty Nine in a whole get more powerful, specifically Caduceus Clay in this instance. I feel that his whole talking with animals and talking with nature is definitely going to come into play to a much greater extent down the line. And also in this episode, rightfully so, Avantika is still wary of the Mighty Nine. They are working together. You know, Ford and Avantika do have this sort of kinship with the Uk'otoa, their patron, but she's definitely still on edge. You know, she's not going to let her guard down. As we saw, she just totally murdered Frumpkin without any remorse, so it's very clear that she will not hesitate at all to cut them down at a moment's notice. But that's not really too deep of like character backs or anything like that. We probably already knew that, but it's just something to keep bringing up, because no matter how much Ford and Avantika connect and have their great spicy conversations, we still have to remember that Avantika is a rather evil person. We just have to keep that in mind as things move forward, because, you know, they only just met. Who knows that once Avantika achieves her goal, she may want to be the only chosen, and she will kill any others that claim to be the chosen. So it's possible that once she gets her powers, if there are powers to get, she will immediately turn on the Mighty Nine and try to kill them. So again, also something to look out for. And then we also had Jumanji Costco, or Jumedi, if you will. It was revealed that he is partially undead. Now, the immediate thought is that he is a revenant, and revenants do have a vengeful tracker ability, which allows them to know the exact distance and direction of any creature that it seeks revenge on. It's possible that the creatures he seeks revenge on are some of the habitants, or one of the habitants on this island, which is why he's able to traverse it so easily. And they also do have immunities to poison, which could be one of the reasons why the bugs don't affect him as much as Matt stated. Now, Bo contracted some sort of a disease, so I don't know if diseases and poisons are different. If they are, then that theory's out of the window, but if they are the same, and poisons cause diseases, which makes sense, but in D&D terms, I have no idea, it would make sense that he is a revenant because the bugs don't affect him and he wasn't poisoned by them. And when Jester and Jumedi were taking watch, he mentioned that he was one of the only survivors of something that happened. I can't exactly remember what his words were, but the important part was that he said he was like the only survivor of a certain situation that happened. However, I believe he stated that that happened way up north of the Empire, which would then lead us to believe that his creature he seeks revenge on is not on this island. but that does mean that it's possible that he did perish in that confrontation that he had up north, but was brought back by the rage of whatever person or entity had vanquished his party. So we'll have to see. I don't think he has any malicious intentions. With Revenants, their main focus is seeking revenge. So I don't think anyone in the party is in any danger. And now we go back to Ford and the dream that he had, because it ties into what Bo talked to him about. So we know that Ford had the dream where he received the powers of the seas, and he seemed to sort of relish in that newfound ability. But then when he woke up, he told the Mighty Nine that he did not have this dream, and basically just brushed it under the rug and did not mention anything. Now, Bo and Ford also had a conversation how they're going to keep each other in check and not let the other get too powerful. And Bo, I believe, she senses that Ford is not telling the truth. Now, I feel that the entire party feels that Ford is not telling the truth. But since Bo and Ford had that conversation, it's clear that Bo is really trying to make Ford comfortable with whatever dream he had or whatever thoughts are going through his head. As Bo said, things that are left unsaid just leaves room for other people to make up anything in their head, which turns out to be worse. So Ford does have to be careful. I really hope he does sort of explain what's going on in his head and all that, because here's my bold prediction. I have a very bad feeling that when the time comes, Ford is going to side, maybe not side with Avantika, but he's going to side with his patron, just so he can learn more about what all of this is, what all these new powers are. Now, that could mean turning against the Mighty Nine, or it could mean turning against Avantika, because it's possible there can only be one true chosen, and the patron might say something along the lines of, when they get to releasing him or taking the steps, they might be saying, prove who is the strongest chosen, and then you shall receive my blessing, or something along the lines of that. So it's possible that might happen next episode. There's still a lot of things up in the air, but I do believe that Ford will 100% want to take this gift that Uk'otoa is offering. But it's also possible that this gift doesn't even exist. It's possible that Avantika merely planted this dream into Ford's head just to get him on her side. That is also a very big possibility, since we know she's good at seeing the lies from other people, but it's possible she's also a very good liar herself. And we know that she's willing to cut down the Mighty Nine at a moment's notice, so she does not care about these people whatsoever, but she knows that she does need Ford's help with bringing Uk'otoa back. So we just need to keep an eye out for Avantika and Uk'otoa and Ford, and just keep an eye on what they might do in this next episode. And now we'll end on something a bit lighter. Now, we do know that Bo contracted some kind of a disease, but she was kind of a bit meaner than she usually is. And I thought that was rather interesting, because it's a sign that she doesn't like to show any sort of weakness. And she'll immediately counter weakness with becoming even more angry and mean and rude to whoever's around her, to try to hide or shield the fact that she actually is hurt or sick or anything along those lines. So it's just a small character trait that Bo showed this episode. Nothing too crazy, but it was just something to take note of. But with all that being said, I believe that is going to wrap it up for this episode. Again, I apologize for the shorter episode. I feel like the last ones have been rather short. That's mainly due because there's so much build-up now. I feel like either next episode or the episode after, depending on how much gets done, there's going to be a huge climax to Ford's story arc, and that's when we're going to have a much longer episode, since so much is probably going to happen in that episode. These episodes leading up, it's just a lot of information we already knew, not too much information being received. So I do apologize for the shorter episodes, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I am super excited to see what Ford does. Again, my prediction is that he is going to want to receive this power over the seas. He stated, even with Avantika and even in the dream, that he does crave these powers, and we saw in the dream that he did sort of relish in these powers. He was a bit nervous at first, but then when he saw what he was capable of, he just completely let loose. So it's something to worry about. If he decides to side with Avantika, we'll have to see. But I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next week.